Welcome to the Coco Recovery Podcast.
The Coco Recovery Podcast presents the conversations of an informal group of friends gathered over coffee to discuss their current experience in recovery. The simple purpose of this podcast is to be helpful by sharing the realities of people living in recovery. The hosts and guests may or may not be practicing members of 12-step programs. The Coco Recovery Podcast is not affiliated with any organization, institution, or facility, neither endorses nor opposes any causes or approaches to recovery and rehabilitation. Whatever is expressed in the podcast represents our individual experiences and opinions as of today. Welcome the fuck back to the Coco Recovery Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Pirate Mike.
And I'm Carbs.
And I'm Barbie, and it's the new season.
Season 2, I'm excited. And yeah, we're doing something different this season. As much as, we still get to talk with each other, but we also thought it would be fun to invite some friends that we have from recovery around the country and get a little more of that local flavor in, share some experiences of hope that come from people of different backgrounds from the same archipelago. And and just try to share those insights with people, because it's a conversation that needs to build and expand, and whatever we can do to be a part of that, the better. So our first guest of the season, we're super excited to have you. Is it Danny?
Danny with two eyes. So Danny works. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me also on the show. I'm a new fan.
He deserves a mug and a t-shirt.
Oh, gladly, I'll take it. I would love to have one.
We're gonna work on the merch.
Yeah. Plugs are normally at the end, right?
We get too excited for our own good. You know how it is. No, we're so happy to have you on, man. I mean, we've known you for a little while now, and so how's it going? How long have you been in recovery now?
So my sobriety date is December 28th. So about 7 months, I'd say.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's had its ups and downs. I can't say that, for me, oddly enough, it's the start of the climb is a lot safer than later on. So I typically ruin my life to such a degree that the climb is really fast, and I'm a sprinter in that sense, right? So the first couple of months is a breeze for me. Like, you could functionally, I could cut lines, and I did at one point for people. It doesn't bother me. That's how resound my like agenda is for sobriety. But as my life slowly gets put back together, is when it starts getting dicier, because I become complacent, and I slowly earn back some of that respect. And for some reason, that's when that I want to say that false pride, and that and there's a lot of things wrong there, but I boil it down to taking control of the situation again. And then I'm like, well, I'm better than that. I can manage. I can actually have a drink here and there. And it's just really not the case, right?
Yeah.
So I started with I've always been alcoholic and a drug addict. Looking back at it, I don't think I recognized it early on, but I certainly was. I started smoking weed when I was like 13 years old, which is kind of young, but I don't think it ever. And then it graduated after high school to cocaine. My father used, and so I'd steal it from him without him knowing. And then eventually I started buying. It's actually a very strange scenario later in life, because my father would even have me buy it. And I thought that was kind of cool, which in hindsight is really not like
It's not normal.
No, you know how sick my brain is like, like how cool am I? I must have such a good connect that my dad thinks my connect's better than his connect. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's where you went. Yeah.
Yeah.
but anyway, I graduated from becoming a weekend warrior, which I think I was all right at that, like in my teens and in my late teens, and I was still fairly successful at school, but I think that a lot of the reason why I couldn't really get to a hard rock bottom and have any problems is just generally what we experience, right? It's a progressive disease. And there were definitely a lot more blackouts in my early 20s, but I graduated from that to harder forms of it. Like I started smoking it and eating it, and then I dabbled, like a lot, like ecstasy, of course, like but there was always heavy drinking also. So don't get me wrong, I still belong with you guys. Like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me,
And we're substance agnostic here, just so you know. So
Yeah.
we're
Yes,
not
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then in college, I just looking back, I got through it just by the grace. Like I would do such stupid fucking shit. Like freshman year, I would smoke crack in my dorm room and I just rip it and I would walk out through the lobby of my dorm room and out into the snow and lay down and then exhale.
Hell yeah.
If someone stopped me and told me like, yo, dude, like, hey, where are you going? Like I would have to like puff out the smoke. So fucking that's insane. Like, like, and then, that went on for a while. And I almost got expelled because I wasn't attending a lot of class. But I asked for like a mercy streak from a couple of professors and they gave it to me. And my life's really just been a story of just like a lot of really God taking care of me. And I don't know if that's really care of me, or maybe if I had been hit with that reality earlier on, it would have helped. But whatever, it is what it is, right? And so I got through college, 2.2 GPA, but that's still passing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I started working for my family, and then I washed out because the pay was too good, and then there was no more restraints, right? And then my father told me, well, you go, sent me to rehab, and then I cleaned up, and then I worked for a local company, a bank here, like quite a big bank, video, like I did corporate finance for them as a degenerate. Which is kind of insane that they had me on there, but I got through that just by like going some days I would just go straight to work, like, just reeking like alcohol. And I remember this is where I was seeing symptoms of real alcoholism, because I remember telling my friend that came in with me at the same time, who was super cool guy. I remember telling him, like, look, man, you need to do me a favor one morning. And I told him, can you go get me a bottle of Gilby's at the gas station? I can't work. I can't do anything. And I'm freaking out. Like, and I had to drink that. And at that point, I had not known
like the shakes, or what was going on? Like, how are you freaking out?
The anxiety. I had shakes.
Anxiety.
And the anxiety was just immense. Like I couldn't walk downstairs. Like, and I had no clue what that was. I mean, I had an idea that maybe I'm just coming down off the booze, but or something, because I wasn't only drinking booze. I was smoking meth sometimes, very seldom, but I would still do that, like as a last case scenario to like make it through a whole weekend. And he got it for me. And then eventually, like I said, COVID happened, right? And instead of my father, by the way, had cancer at this point, so he had to go to Singapore during COVID because he had to be able to do his treatments. And so I was home alone, and instead of using that time, I don't know, wisely or whatever you might call it, the first thing I did was I bought an entire ounce of cocaine, and because my panic wasn't, fuck, the world's gonna end. My panic was, dude, if they lock this shit up, I'm not gonna be able to get any stuff, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
like that's just the reality of the situation.
Better
I
build
was,
my
yeah.
stash.
I don't want to like
Yeah.
be like you know, fuck food, right? Like I needed to score booze, and I needed to score a lot of it and some drugs, because fuck a whole month, like, and I was so proud. I remember being like, well, y'all fuck, but I have a whole ounce. I bought the last one in Manila, like, and like, I'm gonna be good. I have mi goreng noodles, an ounce of blow, and I bought
Right?
like, yeah, and I bought a whole like case of fucking vodka.
Yeah.
And I know I'm alcoholic because it didn't fucking matter to me what vodka. Like, you know, like people are like, oh, like, you know, like, I hang out with a lot of people that like, whoa, what booze? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I ordered Absolute, whatever I could get by the case.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
you already said Gilby's, right? So
Yeah.
we know that you're capable of drinking.
Barbie had like a reaction. Whoa.
I know it's like Gilby's, like, okay.
well, you know, because in fairness to myself, the only reason why I got Gilby's is they're the only ones here that would be sold at the 7-Eleven.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Only and my friend couldn't exactly walk into BDO head office with like this fucking big long neck of like booze, right? Like,
Yeah.
had to be discreet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get about the rations. I mean, even before COVID and lockdown, whenever I had similar situations, like if I was getting ready to go on a trip or whatever, the point is, food was like the last thing. I took food for granted all the time. Like, fuck, like I'm not going to stress about where am I going to get food. Am I going to have enough supply to last me through the night while I'm awake? Like that's the priority. That's like the first thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it made sense in my head. I didn't even think I was an alcoholic or any kind of addict. It was more like, no, you know, let's be practical. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find anything at like 3 a.m. So that's got to be the first thing I take care of. It made so much sense at the time.
Yeah. I know how that feels because I did travel to the States and I didn't bring any clothes. Like I was so drunk packing. I just probably brought like just a few t-shirts so it would cushion the bottles of rum. The clothes were to cushion the bottle. I think I brought like 10 long necks, you know, and that was it. I got to the States. I'm like, oh, I'm packed. You know,
But
it's like
they sell alcohol in the US though.
I know, but I wanted tanduay.
You're like,
Oh,
Right. See, that's the one, man.
That's when you know you're Pinoy.
yeah.
that's when you know you're
Right.
Pinoy.
No, but I
Long
remember,
necks.
you know, like I can relate to that, but in my the way I did it was because, like, you know, housewife, and so every time I do the grocery or have to pay for something, you know how I budget it? Like, no, you can't get that. You're gonna get generic because, like, I wanted money because I needed to make sure I could buy the pills.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
the ribs weren't enough. I had to like, no, we have to get mugs and we have to get, you know, and they
And
were
it's got to be the name brand kind. We're not getting that.
generic. I'm gonna go generic. Excuse me. No, I'm not gonna go generic on my shit. I'll go
Yeah.
generic on your shit, right? So that's what that's how I did it. And I was like, you know, and I didn't, well, the alcohol for me was because there was a lot left over from my wedding we brought home. And it was all stolly and like all of this shit, right? And it was just there under the stairs. And I was just like, oh, I'm good. And then for some reason, people just gifted us a lot of alcohol. And I was like, okay, since I lived in the boondocks that time.
Oh, for
So,
real,
you know.
you've told that story like 5 times, and now I'm getting the sense you had like 5 years worth of like booze stash
There was a
from your
lot. There was
wedding.
a lot. There was a lot of booze that just slowly kept disappearing. And my then husband was just like, what's happening? Who is drinking the booze? I don't know.
Just slowly
And
starts
when I told him the
disappearing.
truth, he was like, no wonder. Fuck. And so, yeah.
Danny, how did it? So, like, you had the all access pass. It sounds like. So when, because this isn't your first rodeo in recovery, is it? Like, how did it crash?
So this is kind of where it, you know, I'd have to say that my previous stints in rehab, like the one I said prior to working at BDO, it was a day. It was not it was 12-step, and it wasn't an inpatient, it was an outpatient. And obviously this is kind of the issue here, is that even my dad didn't really like my whole spiel at this rehab was that I'm in a shitty situation. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not an alcoholic. And I was convincing enough. Like, you know, like I gave them a shitty story about how my dad's kind of fucking abusive and he can be very aggressive when he's not in a good mood. And they were like, "Oh man, you're not really fucked up. You're just in a bad situation." And you know, like a week into it, my dad gave me a beer at the racetrack. Like, and while I'm doing this program, he said, "Well, you know, like it's beer, relax." And I'm like, "All right, I'll roll with it," right? Like, um, but it just wasn't my time. Also, it was a spiral, but it wasn't as bad as it got. So during COVID, I started. I had been years since I've cooked crack and smoked it, but then at that point, we had a party and a friend of mine that I've done it before. I was like, "Hey man," and I was like, "Dude, I already have everything ready." I was like, so obviously at some point in my head, I was already like getting ready in some weird way, right?
Yeah.
And that happened, and every time this crack comes back in my life, it always ends terribly. But and then that ran out because it was COVID and there was really no shit to be bought, no coke. And if you know anything about crack and freebase, you need good stuff to do that. It's aggressive. Like I think the most I finished is 1 whole ounce in one night, and that's between me and one other person, and so that's pretty fucked up. Like but eventually that ran out, so I picked up meth. That's the next logical thing to do, right? Like, right. And I spent the next 2 years, like, because lockdown kind of, it kind of disappeared, right? And I got really into that, you know, and my life became really myopic. I stopped going out as much. I just, you know, I lived in the casino for about 3 months in Soler, and I just smoked and gambled away everything I've saved over several years. It was a pretty good time, but no, it wasn't. Actually, it was fucking miserable. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I was like trying to invite friends and be like, "Yo, come join me. Like I got hookers, money, like we can do everything." Nope, no one showed up.
Nobody showed up.
Yeah, it was just such a bad state, man. Like I mean, my cousin showed up. He was like, he showed up to everything. But yeah, and that went on for a while, man. And it was got to a point where it was really sad because like I won one night by myself. Like I went to Soler not knowing that there had been a shooting like 2 hours before, and I was like cruising around all fucked up. I'm like, why is there nobody here? Like the whole place to myself. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
there must have been like, shit, this guy's our only customer today. Let him win. Like, so I won $3 million. Like, you know, like, and
What?
No.
Holy moly.
Wait, did you say on a machine?
yeah.
3 million?
Yeah, but hear me out though. I make it sound like a lot, but I spend a lot there too. Like I spend like $500,000 in a sitting from the pressing. I just increase the bets to such a level that if it does hit, because my whole idea is like I'm a drug addict and I'm a gambler. I'm an addict in all of the essence. So like I'd rather go home in 20 minutes or something really big. And then I'm having fun tonight, right? Like, so it just happened that way. But you know what? The thing is when I won it, I realized I hate my life, dude. Like it did not make me any fucking happier because I have nobody in my life to spend that money. I have nobody, not one thing, no matter how much money or drugs or women, there was nobody there. And I realized that none of that is making me happy at all. And if I continue this way, that's how it's gonna be, man. You're gonna be all fucking alone. Like and there's money is no good if there's nobody to spend it with. And I realized that, you know, there's probably no better combination, to be honest, to someone in addiction than a casino, drugs, money. Like that's fucking the dream, man. But it was fucking miserable. Like I was crying a lot time I was in the casino. Like I just buy hookers, not even fuck them, just because like, oh well, I just want them to talk to. Like it's fucking sad, dude.
Wow.
Like it's fucking sad. Like you know, like but so I decided I said yes to to go to rehab. But I get before that, I had several stints at the basement, which didn't really end up anything. And I agreed that I should go. And I think that like I went and I learned a lot of good things. And that was an inpatient, but you could leave, and I think that one really, I listened. I wasn't enough shit that I knew that I had a fucking problem, right? But I came back and I started feeling like I should, like a little bit of craving. So I said, fuck it, I gotta get out of the house because my brother lived there and my brother also uses. And as soon as I picked up a bag to pack to leave, I put my hand in the bag, pipe, and enough stuff for a week, like a lighter. I was like, fuck, dude. Like, so I was high again, right? That was another year, same shit. And then finally, like my relationship with my girlfriend was also in recovery at the time. It was like really bad already. And then she got pregnant and I realized, like, I can't be like this anymore, like it's not going to work out, and it's not about me anymore. Like, there's going to be new life. There's a child that I willingly want to bring into this world, and it's just not acceptable to be like that.
Wow. That was the moment. That was when like a moment of clarity hit, was when you were expecting to be a father.
Yeah. And it's not instant though, right? Like it was also like, I was already, the thing that for me, the key takeaway here is that I didn't even really need it was a good reason to quit, but my life was fucking miserable, dude. Like when most people you talk to that are in recovery, they're like, if it's dangerous if you can't remember how shitty it was towards the end, but I can fucking remember it sucked, dude.
It's hell.
It's hell. So all I needed was just a decent enough reason to sort my life out, right? And that was a decent enough reason. But yeah.
It's true. You hear a lot of people saying, and I've heard a lot of people say, like, it won't work unless you do it for yourself, And for years now, I didn't say anything. I didn't challenge that. But the truth is, like, when I first decided to like ask somebody to sponsor me, because I'd already been going to meetings but still drinking, it was because of my stepdaughter. Like, I was thinking about her and just thinking, like, my moment of clarity was basically, what the fuck am I doing? I already broke this little girl's heart. Like, I'm a shitbag, And I wanted redemption. I wanted to be able to show her that kahit papaano. So it didn't start out like I was doing it for me. It was for the kid.
Yeah.
Good motivator.
We all have that, that motivator, right? You got to find that to start with anyway, just to start with.
To start with, because like you're gonna realize naman in your journey and parang, oh, wait a minute, this is really making me feel good. Hold on.
Yeah.
Right? Hold the fuck up. Like that. So no, I have no, because like there are a lot of people like I know who are in and out. It just doesn't register. Like, they do service and stuff like that. It's like, really, it still doesn't stick. And like, for me, I don't know. Service for me works. It's like, this is what's keeping me in this program. It's because like there are people that I count on, and I know there are other people that I like to think that people do sometimes count on me too. It's nice. It's a nice feeling, and there's no exchange of like blame or whatever. It's if shit happens, it's like there's nothing like that. You're freely giving your service. You're freely giving what you learn and everything like that. But then I've noticed you're very active this time.
I realized that I relapsed last year because halfway through the year I was already heading towards the drink, and I recognized that. And it happens when you're discontent, like you get that. And I'll use anything, right? Like my relationship with my girlfriend, she's very busy, and without being objective about it and not getting into the intricacies of a relationship, but just stating that what I do is I'll use any situation, even if it's shitty or even if it's fabricated to be shitty by my own mind, right? And I'll use that to convince myself that, well, if that's what's going on, then you might as well go gamble. If you're already gambling, it's gambling without this, right? And then if you you can't do that without drinking, and you can't drink without that one. So it's also like, it's just a real easy way to get in there. And what I realized was missing, and I don't know if that's for sure too, right? Like there was no fellowship, like, and I just logged into 24-hour meetings, like 150 people. I come in and out when I feel like, and there's no personality. I just drop shit and I leave, the problem for me there is that they don't tell you this in the beginning because they're trying not to scare people away, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
but you need to make new friends because your old friends aren't going to work for you.
That's true.
Really, like, you can hang out with them. That's for me at least real. That's how I feel. They don't tell you that in the beginning because I feel like I would have been like, well, fuck that, right? And that's what I said. I said, I don't want to make new friends. Like, I'm good with mine. But my friends are degenerates also, like me. I made sure that for the past 25 years, I only surrounded myself, like the book says, with people that drink like me and use like me.
Yeah.
Right? Because if not, I don't want to feel like a weirdo. If I lose my credit card, I want to be with people that lose their credit cards too.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. And the issue there is that there's nothing, no malice towards them, but I can't, I think I can still have them as friends and I can still show up for them at things. But
for sure.
If I don't have the fellowship, I don't have friends in recovery, then you have to realize, I looked at it, it's so strange. I thought about it the other day because it's not like we became, if you think about us, it's like, we're not even like, say you're a person that just all of a sudden becomes lactose intolerant. Our worlds aren't even like that because no one spends fucking 6 hours or 7 hours of their life every 2 nights a week drinking milk at a place that's only for people that have that like milk and dairy products. It's really not fucking like that. Like, what we have precludes us from being able to participate in something that is a large part of people's lives.
Yeah.
And provide, if I keep trying to fit myself into that, it's not going to work because I'm going to keep seeing what I'm missing out on. That's the reality.
That's
It's the step one right there.
Because I never thought, like, I mean, in early recovery, like, I never thought I'd be making friends here. I never thought
Actually,
that
Carbs, you
one day-
said that you would never have friends in recovery. That's what you said. I am never
hang out with you guys. I actually said that, because, like, I was like, why? Why do I need to hang out with you guys? Why do I need to make new friends? My friends are fine. Okay? Of course, delusion, diba?
Yeah.
And 2 years in, I can't separate myself to the friends that I made in this program.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it took a while, right? It took some time.
It took a while for me to open up, even, because, like, it's not it's one thing breaking up with alcohol and drugs. It's another thing breaking up with the friendships that you have.
Yes, exactly.
And they'll never understand me. To this day, they don't. And yes, I'm still friends with those people who aren't in recovery, but there's already that thing, that thing that got lost when I entered recovery. And for me to get that back, I have to make new relationships.
Yeah.
Diba?
Definitely. I think so. Danny, do you feel like it's, recovery is something that you can't do on your own?
So I originally thought that was not the case. I thought that you could just resume your life if you're running a good program. But there's this Dr. Gabriel Mate. He's like he's talks a lot about addiction, but supposed to be quite expert in it. I don't know. For me, like, if you've never been a fucking drug addict, don't talk to me about being a drug addict. But I don't know, maybe he was one. But anyway, one of the things that he points out in his TED Talk is that, one of the main sources of addiction is and relapses is that it's isolation and loneliness. And so it stands to reason that if you're going to be outside of this clique of milk drinkers, say alcohol drinkers, like, and you can't be a part of this, or you can be, but it's like pissing in the wind.
Yeah.
But you're always going to feel like the glass is half empty. You're always going to feel like you can't participate. And I feel like the only logical thing to do is to find people that are like you,
Exactly.
and we're not a glum lot. Look, we're actually fun. I mean, to be honest, there's definitely, I did not expect the group, this particular home group, to be this fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me neither.
That's really good to
Honest.
hear.
you had
Yeah.
you had reservations? I was gonna ask you, like, yeah.
I don't want to name which meeting I went to, but I've been to a meeting where there was predominantly elderly individuals.
Yes, yes. I've been to
Nothing
those.
against them, but it's just that I can't see myself hanging out, like
Yeah.
and that's what I miss a lot, and I get a lot of it now, like I get a lot of it from you guys. It's new friends, really. I get that it's scary to tell newcomers that, but it's kind of important,
Yeah. I
It
think you have
is.
to attend different meetings in order for you to finally find your tribe. The people that really, that get you and, speak your language,
Yeah.
relatively the same age, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, people
Not,
you hang out with.
yeah.
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 If if given like a choice, like thinking back, I would generally really hang out with you guys.
Yeah, I would,
You know,
Yeah.
oh,
Except when we
that's
do
alcohol or-
like active shit, not carbs.
Oh, yeah.
Except when we do active shit, like
I
hikes or
always
ATV.
We do active
invite
shit, right? No,
I
I'll
always
go to
invite
brunch.
her to go hiking with me, to go to an ATV adventure, and the answer is always, "I'll meet you after. Where are you guys gonna eat?"
Okay, there is a limit.
I get
That's
it.
what I've
Okay.
learned. There's a limit to my love and my friendship. Okay?
You opened your heart. I'm gonna stop mocking you. Yes.
Okay, there is a limit. Okay, you asked me to do these things outdoors.
Yeah, so lucky to have Mike and Danny.
Yeah.
Kasi
Yeah,
wala.
you're lucky.
It's
These
just
two will
you.
go with you.
So
Like,
to what extent does your fellowship go to, like, if we, like, would you show up to the brunch that we were planning?
There's a
Oh, there is.
Why not?
I haven't.
brunch.
Yeah, let's
That's
ask about.
cool.
It's actually near my place. It's in Estancia Mall.
Yeah.
Every
we-
Sunday, I just saw it.
Yeah, I think the first one is
Show up to the
next Sunday.
brunch.
Parang 10 a.m. or something like that.
9
As long
nga.
as it's indoors.
9?
Yeah, because
Like,
everyone was saying, I'll get more of the details and I'll share, but I think that the idea was to get it out of the way before anyone's family activities and stuff like that.
ooh,
No, that's a
yeah,
good idea.
that's
Yeah,
true.
That's
That's
why
true.
it's at the
And
time
it's
of day
near
that
me.
it is.
Yeah,
That's
finally,
awesome.
some sort of event that's not like smack jab in the middle of like the day or the.
That's really
Outdoors.
exciting. I mean, I've said this in a meeting, right, Danny? Like when I moved back, I didn't find myself in fellowship activities like this. It was, it seemed insular to me. And there were a lot of people of a certain age or, people that seemed to know each other already from outside circles. And it seemed like a tough crowd to kind of break in. Nobody really stayed afterwards to hang out if they didn't already know each other. So everything that we're doing now is new to me and I fucking love it. I feel like kind of like what, I don't know if it was Barb's or Carbs or Barbie who said it, but maybe it is the age thing, maybe it is the activity, like whatever is happening right now in the groups that we have, the local recovery scene that, where we know common people. It looks pretty fucking bright. Like we're doing so many things that like I didn't know people were into.
Yeah. Like,
Like what
Yeah,
you're
go
doing,
ahead.
Danny, honestly, with like the outreach stuff that you've been involved in, it's like,
Yes.
Yeah, and I hope it
Lakas, dude.
adds to more. My real plan here was to eventually find a place that we can do like a weekend trip, like ideally, like, because I've been to once for NA, and it's like you spend one night over there, and we can really do more as a group, like, and I do enjoy the work there, but like, for example, the NA one is mostly, it's 3 hours of work and the rest is fellowship, man. So it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. What kind of work? Like we're talking like workshop?
You talk to workshop, you talk to the patients, and then the next day is another 2 hours, you talk to their families. So
Okay.
like, I ideally, like, we're going to be talking to a bunch of other more facilities. So maybe we find a place that, it's somewhere reasonable distance that we can do day trips to, and like, plan around it as well as fellowship. We have lunch there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Sounds
Like,
amazing.
when
So
you were
glad.
talking about like being in the casino and you're winning all this money and you've never felt so alone, right? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden now you're just surrounded by people all the time. And it's like you're never alone these days.
Yeah, it feels really good. And I'd be remiss to not say though that, like, especially if people are listening that are new to our recovery, it's the impression to have is not that every day is going to be great, right? Like for me, and I don't, for me in general, it's better. It's definitely better. But like it will fluctuate, like, and especially people that are coming in from using drugs, it's important to recognize that um that what you are doing is completely fabricated level of enjoyment. Like you're like fucking smoking meth, like, dude, like I'd have fun lining up at the bank. It was fun because you're just oozing dopamine. That's not normal. You're gonna die. Like this. So if that's the level of, like, you think that that's the way your day is gonna work. It's not like that. So
Yeah.
you have to be patient with recovery to the point where you get a new equilibrium on what life is like. And I'm not saying it's boring or anything. It's just that's fucking weird, because together with that really high level of dopamine comes like insanely vivid feelings of hate and pain and loneliness. So like it's not only that, everything's magnified. So the idea is that when you're coming in and you're recovering, the troughs and the peaks are much lower. You're more and at a higher level. You're averaging a better and a more happy and a more stable level.
Yeah.
That's
Not with the, because normally, when you drink or you're like doing meth, it's like you get a flood, of dopamine, and now it's like you got to work for it. It's like you get it through exercise, or like doing hobbies and hanging out with good people. That's what I had to relearn, because I was just used to instant gratification, and now it's like, you need to take a break. It's like a detox also, and it's like your brain goes back slowly. It starts to heal, when you're not drinking, and eventually it starts to get, dopamine, like regular and normal dopamine levels, by doing the things that you love, being with the people that you love.
Right. And that can take, they say, on the long end, and this is what I remind myself all the time too, and I use this as a tool. And sometimes I tell myself, well, man, you have a lot of work today. You can take a Ritalin. I'm like, no, you can't, dude. Like that's like one letter away from meth. And the reality of it is, the reason that I also don't do it is because I'm cognizant of it takes your body, they say, at the minimum about 90 days to recover from that dopamine flood.
Yeah. No, it's true. Especially for meth addicts.
And it takes
and
to really heal.
Yeah. And that can even be for coke. And once you throw off that dopamine system, it can take a long time to get that back. So the repercussions of that are not just, it's extensive. And for me, the way I look at it is that means you're not going to have fun at work for the next 3 months. That means everything you found that you enjoyed, that is not gonna be fun.
Yeah,
You
it's never gonna be enough.
It's never going to be enough. And so that's like, I'm very careful about that. I haven't played, I only started playing PlayStation last weekend again. It went to that extent that I don't want to play any games, because that's also fucks with your dopamine. And if I'm having fun playing with my kid and having fun doing work, like answering emails and stuff like that, why would I want to ruin that? That actually, if I'm in a place where that's enjoyable, why would I want to get to a place where I'm not enjoying emails and I'm enjoying Call of Duty more, or I'm not, like, I don't want to be there, like, yeah.
That's really good, honestly. I
Yeah.
wish I had this level of knowledge or even like insight because I found myself just chasing one thing after the other, without thinking that I was going after a next source of dopamine hit. But that's basically it. When you said recovery felt boring for me for years, to the point where in therapy, somebody asked me if I was having fun in sobriety, and I was like, no. And mind you, this is after like I had 2 kids that were born. And I mean, there were certainly like times when I was elated, but I never felt like, no, not really. I could be doing something more fun. And it was pointed out to me that your definition of fun needs to change, because
Yeah.
I was still holding on to old ideas. Like fun was danger, fun was reckless, fun was, and I couldn't separate that idea. I couldn't, it didn't even dawn on me that I needed to redefine these things. Even if I read about it, it probably would have gone over my head. I just, it wasn't something that I was tuned into. So to hear you say that's really important for people to hear early in recovery. I think even to set time, like you said, 90 days. Like if I don't know, I probably would have been like, fuck you, 90 days is too long, like when I was new, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what it was. I thought this was a death sentence.
No. And I think that's important for people to know, that you will get better, not tomorrow. You will feel better, not tomorrow. You just gotta hang on.
You
And
gotta
because
hang on.
I feel like a lot of people also get caught between the cracks. It's like, well, 2 weeks in, and I've spoken to people about this. They're like, oh, I've tried. How long? How long have you exercised? And my sponsor told me this also. He goes, how long? Like, how you feel like shit? Like, and we weren't talking about me, but because I'm like really rigid. Like, it's to the point where I'm a little OC when it comes to like making sure that I'm doing the right things to get the best out of how I feel. And but my point was, we're talking about this cousin of mine that he has bipolar, and I was saying that I don't want to be harsh on him. I don't want to be hard, but he's like really like a dark cloud everywhere he goes, and outlook is terrible. And he goes, well, ask him, is he asking you for advice? And you should check with him. What are you doing to make that better? Do you exercise? Do you sleep on good patterns? And it's not being harsh, but like if that guy answers you like, well, I tried, like, how long have you tried? Because if you're not trying for at least a month, you're not trying, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
like you're not. And if someone tells me in recovery that, well, I feel like shit, but you isolate, you play video games by yourself all night long, you don't have good sleeping patterns, you don't see the sun, you don't exercise, you have shitty diet, like, you still hang out with your old friends, then you're not doing anything to feel better either, right?
right on.
Yeah.
Not changing.
Recovery is also about taking action.
Yeah.
I mean,
Has
you're
a
not
lot to do with
changing.
it.
You just quit. It's like that's the whole, for me, when what happened was like, like you just quit drinking and drugging,
Yeah.
but you didn't change.
Yeah. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of people, they just quit and then they go to meetings, but they're still miserable because nothing's really changed in their lives except not drinking or not
For that
using.
1 hour in a day. Ooh.
Yeah. And then they go to the meeting and then that's it. That's enough. And then they
Yeah.
wonder why they're still miserable.
And that segues into like another interesting topic of mine, because I brought this up with a sponsor of my sponsor before, and I was like, like I get into like, there's a point since my last relapse that I was getting into a lot of like, and people were telling me, dude, you're like way too intense into like your fitness, into like, like I had trying to like literally like really like to the point where it was like, dude, you're really insufferable to talk to. Like, and I was like, okay, well, whatever, man. It's better than smoking rocks. Like, so, and I told them, I realized my sponsors like, no, man, don't mind them, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is I tried painting, I tried photography. Like, look, if you're not, you're also, in my opinion, there's going to be a lot of gaps in your time. Like when you quit, like I said, we spend
Yeah.
a lot of hours doing this shit, right?
Yeah.
So you're sitting at home, twiddling your fucking thumbs, doing nothing, dude. You'll think that you'll really start feeling some self-pity. Like, go pick up a camera, borrow a bike, like whatever it takes. But it's not a problem to be like a crazy man trying all these new things, or in new to entertain yourself, because to be honest, you need to do that. You need to find something to replace all that shit,
I
man.
remember
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was made to do a schedule because I was gonna have so much gaps in my day. And I was like trying to fit in, like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 meetings today. And like,
Yeah.
No, I've seen that schedule, like 7 to 7:30. Like it's
Yeah.
super rigid. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
it's like that. Like you have to fill it in. Like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
gonna have lunch for this hour, and then after that, I'm gonna read a book. I don't know. Like I just had to. And then I was also working out that early in recovery, like 5 times a week.
Oh, what
Weekends
happened?
or with family, or I don't know what happened. Well, you know,
Just
recovery
kidding.
happened, and like now. No, you guys wait. You guys
Wait till what did I miss? Wait till what? What happens?
till I lose
Yeah,
weight.
what will happen?
I will
Oh.
lose
Oh,
the
you
weight.
know, I'm not
I
talking
will
about your
lose
weight. I'm talking about like when you're
The
working
working out.
out and all that.
I was working out. I was
Mm.
working out, and yeah,
Yeah, so you have to come with us next time.
The
I
company
was. I was doing, dude. I was really like,
helps.
I would have to say that I was pretty intense. My workout. It was
Yeah, it
hit.
really helps.
Did
Hit,
you
yeah.
did you feel good? So like, someone in our home group told me that their doctor has prescribed to them that they need to work out every day
Hmm.
for their sanity. Like
Mm.
it's a necessary endorphin requirement, because they have an imbalance. And it got me thinking, like, because when I was really intense into this my fitness, this guy that I run with, and like, I mean, he is like phenomenal. Like that's all he does, exercise. My understanding, he also had some substance abuse problems, but then he just decided to just get into fitness, and that's it. And he told me, like, man, all of that shit doesn't matter. How do you feel? He asked me, just how do you feel? And I told him, I feel great. It's like, that's what fucking counts. And that's the whole point of this. And don't forget that. Fuck.
Exactly.
Feel
And
great, like, but positive too, right? Because I'll say
Positive.
counterpoint, when I said earlier that in early sobriety, I was chasing one thing. I was doing a lot of things like I was being of service, I was working out. But it wasn't in I was still doing a lot of it in isolation. So the first half of my first year, there was a lot of just waking up and chain smoking and playing video games in my apartment by myself. And then I would work out, but at the time, my attitude today is a 180. And so the things that I do, I can enjoy them and actually experience joy in a positive and healthy way. And so I don't know. I mean, there's something in this process of recovery that the alchemy of like things shifting and changing my mind. Um, I think if you're able to go and like run a marathon in your first year and stuff, then like that's cool. It'll probably keep you. I mean, you're not doing drugs, you're not smoking rocks, right? But um, how you feel about the activities that you do, I think also have a lot to do with like your attitude and your mindset. No.
Right.
are
Right.
you
Yeah.
really saying to me, Mike, that
But
like
but
complaining to you that I was getting fat and like I wasn't working out, I didn't have time and everything that, and then you told me like, but it's working for you, you're happy. I go, yeah. So food is working for you, so it's okay. I go, yes. It's God
Happy.
damn.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Like for
Happy
me,
though.
I'm bipolar, right? I mean, I
No,
already
yeah.
mentioned this. I mentioned this in a previous episode. I was diagnosed with bipolar. So I have to take action. Like I have to be on medication. I have to work out. I work out every day. So it's not enough. It's not just okay, I just have to work out and it's going to cure
Mm.
my bipolar syndrome.
Yes,
No, I
yes.
still also have to seek outside help. Like we can't forget about, how important doctors are and how helpful they can be. Like if you have a medical condition, then you should act on that and see someone, ask for help. And then even if we're in the program, it's if you need therapy,
Yeah.
I would still go for it,
That
like
works.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, but I caution to that also to some degree, like not the exercise, like I just to dial back a little bit is that I did notice that my therapist brought this up with me. He said, like your rigidity and like how hard you are on yourself is
Mm.
it's not that not it's unhealthy for everyone around you because so the issue is that just because I like to schedule everything and that's really how I like to live doesn't mean and everything is measured it's doesn't mean that so what happens is that I start holding people that are close to me accountable to that standard level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you are
Yeah.
now by proxy part of me. And so you
Yeah.
represent, you need to operate at this level. And
Yeah.
it's like, so you're a dick, basically, Danielle. That's what you are, right? Like, yeah. And I, I'm lately, I exercise when I feel good. And when I feel good and when I'm there, I try and remind myself, you're here to enjoy every fucking enjoy it because this could be your last. You never know. And I try and just, if I'm tired, like I'm struggling this shit about like one more rep, man. Like it's like, no, dude, like you're good. I'm like,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
it's a lot more pleasant that way, man. And
That's true. Like we
yeah,
can't be hard on ourselves. I was told that.
Yeah.
I mean, like in early recovery, like don't be too hard on yourself, because like this is not gonna happen overnight. I had to find my way. I had to find what works, and it would work for one time for a period of time, and then it will shift. Just like
Yes,
Yeah.
it evolves.
it
It's
evolves.
true.
It
It's
yeah,
true.
evolves, right?
yeah,
And I don't mind. I don't mind the changes anymore.
yeah.
But you know, I also have to be aware of how I am doing these things. You
Mm.
know, I can't.
It's
I can't.
good.
Like like just because like for example, work. Diba? Okay, diba? Yeah, of course it's work. Okay, so you have to go in every day and you have to do this, you have to do that, and everything. But for a lot of moments in the day, I have to tell myself, hold on. If you can't do it today, there's always tomorrow. I can't be hard on myself because like I have to take care of myself because if I can't take care of myself, my work's gonna get affected. When my
Mm.
work's affected, people around me get affected.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's just like a domino effect.
Yeah,
Mm.
like when you're sick, don't go to work.
Oh, that's tough.
Right?
That's
Right?
tough. Like giving
Tough.
myself the slack to be able to do that. There's so much anxiety that I feel. And
Yeah.
it's funny because there are different words like that convey a similar sentiment for a reason, right? So Danny, when you said rigidity, right? I think in my head automatically it's synonymous with discipline, but it's not really. I
Mm.
lack discipline in areas of my life still. And what that does when I let it get out of hand is I find myself constantly rushing to catch up, and
Mm,
that's just like but on the flip side, because I still have that extreme way of approaching things, like discipline, then I'll go to an extreme where there's a lot of negative self-talk.
yeah,
I'll let that spiral out, and that's not really discipline anymore. That's rigidity, and that's me being a dick. And
yeah,
when you said like it's a lot more pleasant, that's something that I needed to redefine in recovery. It's like, what is pleasant? I needed to have a different experience with it so that it didn't feel like weakness,
Mm.
um, which it actually did. It felt like a cop out. Yeah, I can actually appreciate and enjoy it. And I think that's just the nature of being black and white, all or nothing with everything. You know,
But
you
at
give
the
me an
same
inch, I'll take a mile, and then after that, everything will be out of whack. I have no balance on
There
my
you go.
own.
That's the word, balance.
No
You have to
balance.
find that.
But at the same time, though, I can't. I as much as I want to use, like, I'm in recovery. Sorry, I can't do this. No, I'm not gonna use my
Mm.
my my disease, or what we call it, like alcoholism or addiction, or me being in recovery, as an excuse to not be able to perform well. You know,
Oh, yeah,
you know what
it's
I'm saying?
not.
Like, okay, I have these things that I have to do, but it doesn't mean that, I'm gonna be so hard on myself that, oh shit, I didn't do this today. Fuck, I need to do this, and all that. If I can't, it means it's because I'm not in the right frame of mind, and I have to take care of that.
Yeah.
Because I can't use recovery and say, like, oh, because I'm a drunk, and I really can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna
No, no,
try.
no.
Right? There's no
Yeah.
excuse for me to not do these things anymore now, right? And I don't know. It's like in my journey, like, there's a lot of a lot of things that happen in a day that require my attention, and if I can't do them all, it's fine. It doesn't mean that I failed. It doesn't mean that this the negative self. So yes, of course, there's negative self talk, like being like, "Fuck, Risa, you're just super lazy." Sometimes I do that, like, get up. I
Yeah.
scream at myself and say, like, get up and do it. But then there's this thing that happens to me that says that it's all right. You do it when you can, these certain things, but because I want to give it my all. I want to be the best that I can be for that particular situation, work wise, family wise, I don't know, recovery wise, whatever. Diba? And yes, it's overwhelming in a day because, like, yes, because, like, for some reason, that schedule thing that I had to do in early recovery, it worked. Meaning to say, like, I'm able to fill the day, and I'm buck tired when I get home.
Mhm.
Right? I'm buck tired, but then, like, I jump into a meeting and it's like, this is it. I'm not, I was able to manage myself, ups and downs throughout the day, and recovery was not the excuse. It was me working the program. It was not an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
think
have the
that's
program
when,
for a reason.
you evolve, like during recovery, like probably in the beginning, yes, you have to fill those missing, like activities, those hours where there's dead time. But as you like grow, in recovery, you do other things. You don't have to fill the schedule anymore. You find yourself becoming naturally more productive at work. You're exercising, you go to work, you have time to go to the cinema, you have time to like hang out with friends. And then, like you go attend your meeting and then you do service. And that's when it's like, dude, there's no
What the
more
hell?
time. Especially
Diba?
when you do service. When you do service, it's like, wow, the week goes by like it's Friday. Oh my
Right?
God.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
You don't need that schedule anymore. You're
Nothing
just
in a day.
busy.
And
And
it's like if somebody asks me to go out, I'm just like, hold on, let me check my schedule.
Oh, I'm sharing on
Sorry,
Wednesday,
I'm not
Thursday.
free this time, How
Yeah.
about on a, like, it's like it just happened.
It just happens.
It
Yeah.
just happened. And I like that it came naturally at my own speed.
yeah.
It was
And I
not
think
forced.
in the beginning, it's also like, you feel, at least for myself, I was scared to have lapses in that schedule because
Mm-hmm.
like lapses in that schedule is just area of danger for me. Like, like
Mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
when I was in rehab, I laughed at the idea that boredom would be my biggest enemy. I realized boredom is my biggest enemy. But later on, I found that, dude, it's okay. You can just go on YouTube. You can just lay in bed. It's okay to do that. It's actually kind of, it took some time to realize that 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 you can start doing something. I could start doing a lot of things that I used to do, and that's okay. And it's okay to have gaps in that schedule because downtime is actually, it's so important. Like I'm afraid of boredom because it just more that it would remind me about what I'm missing out on, because well, that's stuff I used to do around that time. But it's just reassociating, right? Like, and when I just do it and like I lay down and just put on something, and it's like, wow, I actually kind of enjoy this, like and
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
totally relate to that. Exactly. Like it's
Carbs. Remember when I texted you, when I messaged you, and I said on a Sunday I was still in bed at around, was it 9:30 or 10? And I was like,
11.
it was 11. I was like, guys, I'm still in bed. Is this normal? And you're like, of course, we're all still in bed. And they took pictures of it, sent it to me. Like, dude, relax.
Relax,
It's
man.
like, because
Something.
normally at this time I would have already worked out. I would have, there was a time that, I just didn't find it like I felt like I was doing something wrong if I just stayed in bed on a Sunday. Jesus.
Unproductive
so
day.
I think that like
I
I
ain't got
think
no job. I got shit to do.
it happens naturally, though, at least for me. Like there's a while that I was getting up at 5, and I thought that was too late. I had to start getting up at 4 and
Whoa.
Wait, in the morning.
run in the morning and lift weights in the afternoon. And
Hmm.
I wanted to be done with, and then because I wanted to walk with my kid at 7 a.m. And to be able to walk with him at 7 a.m., you got to be done exercising, and to be done, showered, and do that, I got to be up and to do my program. Part of my program was meditate and pray and all this. I did the math, and it's like, you got to be up at 4. And to be up at 4 means I like the idea, because if I'm in bed at 9 or 8, then I'm not, all of this hours that I was worried about and I was scared of, I'm asleep. I can't be awake anyway because I'm getting up at 4. And I thought that I could keep this up, but it's not realistic, right? You can't have a relationship with anyone if you're going. It's like
There's someone out there who's up at 4. I bet.
no, definitely. But it's also like, that's the part where it has to be functional, right? Like recovery. And I told them, like, my sponsor told me, don't trip about it. You're living on your own right now, because I wasn't living at home. So he's like, if that works for you, that works for you. But as you integrate back into, you'll find your rhythm, and
Yes.
that rhythm is, like, it looks like 11, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. now, like, and it's not easy, like it's not always easy, because I still deal with a lot of stuff, like my girlfriend, she has a very active social life. It's part of her job. And that means that I can't be a part of a lot of that, right? And a lot of that, and that means there's a combination there, and I'm not willing to say that it's all with me. It's a combination of on her side, it's working on that, on being able to compromise on that, and working with me on that. And on my side, it's being right sized, and not being arrogant. And I think I shared this before, that arrogance for me is a big thing. And I didn't even know what arrogance was like 3 weeks ago until I Googled it. I thought it was like know-it-all, and that's not. Arrogance is someone that thinks very highly of themselves, and for me, I can apply that in almost everything, man, because it's like why do I think I'm so great that I can't be alone a couple nights a week on watching YouTube? Like, I gotta be like out, I gotta be like part of this and that. And when I don't even want to be there. Like, after I'm at a social event for longer than an hour and a half, there's nothing there for me anymore. So like, it's just, and I realized that part of my addiction, a lot of the reason why I stayed at these places and hanged out with these people was not because they're interesting, or not because we're having such riveting conversation. It's because we're fucking high and drunk.
Yeah. That's true.
Most of these people are fucking boring to talk to. It's like you go around and around in circles, and to the point where last time I talked to one of them, I was like, fuck, is that what I sounded like? They're like, yeah. Shit.
Wow, yeah. That hits
Yeah.
hard.
That is hard,
Mhm.
but you know, in the comfort of other people like you, it doesn't really seem that bad, right? But
Right, it doesn't seem.
Yeah.
I mean, I get your point. It's like you suddenly see like, God, I was tolerating this.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's like it was like
What?
such an like an eye-opening experience. Like that's why I needed stuff because you know the body naturally no longer wants to be there. It's fucking tired, man. It's boring.
it's
Mm,
like
yeah.
I
Yes,
want to
Yeah.
zone out. I don't want to be
yes,
here
that's
anymore.
What is
exactly.
that? That's
Yeah.
like alcoholic addict math. I do remember that. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm still out. I'm so tired. Let's get another drink so I can
Yeah.
stay awake and
Right?
keep going.
Keep going.
Like, like,
Going.
like,
Because
what are we
once you
talking about?
stop, you're
Like,
gonna crash. Yeah.
like
Once you stop.
you can't. Like, I've partied with people, like same group of people. We haven't left. It's like 24 hours. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, it must we
Nothing.
possibly still be talking about. Like, you know, like, but
You're
you know,
solving the world's
you can
mystery.
only see its insanity from outside. And
Yeah.
and it's a true testament to the power of drugs and alcohol that that if I, you know, if I'm not in a place where if you told me magic wand, you can drink again and you can do drugs again, that I wouldn't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's fucking stupid, but I'm not saying it didn't feel good. Because it must do something for you if you're willing to go through so much pain and destruction
Oh,
for
yeah.
that hit.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
something for it.
Yeah.
The medicine works, but the repercussions is immense, you know.
Right. We didn't have anything better. And that's why the things that are actually abnormal seem not only normal, but desirable. You know, you said 24 hours, and it made me think of there's this movie called The Salton Sea. And there's a scene there, and there are a lot of like movies that have this scene, right? Where they've been tweaking all night. And they're about to go score some more. And it's like, hey man, what time is it? I don't know. And then they open the door and it's just like they get hit by this ray of sunlight.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought
Hated that feeling.
I hated that feeling, but at the same
Cringe.
time, like that was one of the goals.
Yes.
Like
Right.
I'm living fucking rock star if like that's
Yeah.
happening to me. And it's because I didn't have like normal life, quote unquote, had nothing for me. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I had something better and healthier to actually replace it and the mindset to match that, you know,
Yeah.
I can look at that now and be like, yeah, that was pretty crazy in a
Yeah, but not in
bad
a
way.
good way.
Yeah,
But
in a
not
bad way.
good. You know, like this is another thing I'm trying to get around is you know, that mindset is like I want to make alcohol and drugs an enemy in my head. Like there's a point where like and I hear it a lot in Bill and you know Joe and Charlie and stuff like that. They tell you you gotta villainize this because and part of that for me the mechanism there is that, you know, like I've talked to some like real heavy hitter businessmen and they're like, dude, if that's what you're gonna do, you're never gonna be anything like us. Anything, dude. There's no fucking room for that shit around here. Like at that level of operation, like if you want to be someone like in the like I was talking to this one like immensely successful businessman. He does not even touch, not even like before, yeah, and he's young and he's like,
Yeah.
and he laughs at people that do because for him, he said like he says like you're never gonna get anywhere, you know, like it's just not what happens. So in my head, I'm trying to villainize that also. And the way I do it is like I tell myself because I really have to that addiction is doing push-ups outside, it's doing jumping jacks. So for me, I need to villainize that. And I need to put enough it's not enough for me to be like, well, you're, you know, like if I won't reach my goals and I need to set that as a parameter there that you're not going to reach your goals if that's what you want to do. So it's not only that you won't lose your family and everything will fucking go to hell, but you're not going to be able to achieve anything, you know, like it's going to be more than just that. Like and I mean if that wasn't clear enough that you wouldn't, right? But I like to successfully perform at a very high level, it's, you know, it's not and I do observe this. I have to say I know several of these kind of people, and they're up early, man. They're not getting the booze, and not even like they don't have drinking problems, but they just it's by choice. You know what I mean? They have no program.
Yes,
But it's
yes.
not so much at the beginning with.
That
It's
is a
by
good
choice.
point because it's already, you don't have space for it in your
No.
life. You
No,
had built this amazing life, you
Yeah.
know, where you're successful and you're happy and all of these things. So you don't have space
Yeah.
for destructive behavior, you know,
Yeah.
because you filled your life with all of these amazing things. And I think that's the goal, you know, that's the
Yeah.
goal. It's just not, it doesn't cross your mind anymore.
And like,
Because
yeah, I like that actually, that there is no space. I was gonna say that the villain today lang ha, today I disagree with villainizing like alcohol and drugs because like the intolerant, it was like this weird intolerance, fear, irrational avoidance because I saw it as the enemy and I didn't want it to get. I mean, somewhere along the way, it got to a place where, like today, it just has no place in my life, and I don't give a shit. I mean, like sponsees can go drink and use if they want to, right? And I'm not going to say that they're villains. It just kind of is, and I'm closer, I think, to the being in the position of neutrality with it today, where it just seems like there's not as much like passion behind it. It's more it's subjective,
Yeah.
yeah,
very practical.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
think they're a lot further along too, though, than I am on that. Like I think that honestly probably is the where you'd want to head to. That kind of tolerance and I don't mean like villainizing the user.
Yeah.
I just villainize the substance in my mind in the sense that I need to see all the terrible things it'll bring to my life and
of
the things
course.
and yeah, and the things that not just the foreseen but the unforeseen costs. So the things
Yeah.
that you won't be
Yeah.
able to achieve.
I'm not saying it's wrong, huh? I mean, you heard it on
No.
Joe and Charlie. Those guys had a lot of time. I'm just saying, for me, it didn't work in the long run, and because of the way that I'm wired, I guess my thing is like, I'll take something like the idea of villainizing alcohol and drugs, and then I'll get weirdly self-righteous over it.
I mean, alcohol is poison, right?
agree.
It's poison. It doesn't do anything for your life, for your health or anything. It's the most useless thing in the world. But then, you know, people get questioned when you don't drink. You know, people don't ask you like, why you're not drinking poison, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're drinking alcohol, people, you know, don't ask you like,
Oh, it's
I
so
mean, they
weird.
ask you when you're not drinking alcohol, why aren't you drinking? And the question should be, why are you not drinking poison?
Yeah.
Right? That's
yeah.
the
I have an interesting question. Do you guys think, and I think that, you know, like there's this whole some people believe that geographic what they call geographic sobriety or something like that works, right? Which obviously for the most part I haven't spoken to anyone that's successfully done it. But that's what I mean. What the part that interests me is, what about going, like we're living in recovery, right? But the world and the environment we live in, this particular one, isn't really built towards that. And it's always interested me, what if just as a study or what if I lived in a country that it's not illegal, but it's not also like imagine you live in Dubai.
Mm.
Entertainment there is created not around drinking. They have a lot of theme parks and things like that because most people don't, right? So, like I said a while ago, it's the point. Like, how many like what kind of entertainment places do you know really exist? For the most part, almost every country, there's bars and places to drink, and there's restaurants. That's like the basic level of entertainment. Like anything. So, you know what I mean? Like, in a country that wasn't, there has to be a lot of other things that are available out there, and it'd be interesting to see if what a country looks like that was never a big thing for them, you know.
Uh,
Hmm.
I mean,
I mean,
LA, the last like few years that I was there, I was in a part of LA where it felt like that. I mean, we live close enough to like the Hollywood area where it seemed like everybody was, you get up and you do a hike around Mulholland or Runyon Canyon and you see a bunch of people there, and you come back down and you have breakfast at some, you know, trendy place near Melrose, and then it seemed very fucking effortlessly healthy, you know, and kind of like you, I didn't stick around long enough to see what the dark parts were like later in the day. So when the daylight hours were, it was very positive in that way. You know, you wouldn't have, and from what I understand, despite the fact that like weed is legal there, you know, we take that part out of it. There are actually more sober bars that have been opening.
Yes, I was about to just say
No?
that. That's part of it
Alcohol
now.
seems to be
Guys were
less of a
talking in a
thing.
different podcast about that, right? Like one of the last ones. There's a new bar now opening.
There's a new bar in Poblacion. That's where I spent my birthday on August 8th with recovery friends. We had mocktails, we had San Mig 00, but you know, I mean, when we went there, we had to have a talk and be like, look, just make sure that when you drink this, you know, it's not gonna trigger you, right? It's the smell. Like you have to be honest with yourself.
It tastes like it, right?
It
Right.
tastes like it.
Oh, I
It
don't know about-
does.
I don't know about that.
See, so you have to be, and it has that, like I
Yeah.
told them before, it's like I like to drink it on an empty stomach. So I'm
It's
like,
free.
so it's like I still feel that burn, but I don't get drunk. So you just have to really be honest with yourself. Are you drinking it because you know you're looking for the real thing, or
Right.
are you okay with just having like you just to relax and just like hang out with people, or are you gonna look for the real thing? And that's what my sponsor said. That's what she told me, because she actually drinks 00 beer. So I went to 7-Eleven and yeah,
What?
yeah. She's like, what? But see,
Beg
she
your
was
pardon?
like, but she was very careful with me. She's like, Barbie, take a picture of it first, because that could be 0 calorie San Miguel, not 0 alcohol San Miguel. So I had to take a picture of it, send it to her, and then she's like, text me, call me the moment if you feel triggered. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm fine, and then yeah, I was fine. And I did try it and I didn't feel triggered, but it's not for everyone. So
Oh,
I also want to be careful, because if for me I don't get triggered, maybe other people with me will be. So you need to have that talk, right?
but
Yeah.
look, we were there, diba? And
Lumalabas na, we were there.
it was like a regular gimmick. We were the loudest.
We were
We
the
were the
loudest.
We were the ones having like the other people there were just like, okay, like
That was
you
the
know,
funniest
What's up with
part to
these
me.
people?
They were
Yeah.
so chill, and I felt like I was intruding on this like chill vibe.
and that's how I was when I was drinking. I would go to a place and I'd be the loudest one,
Yeah,
and it's still the same.
it's still the same.
You see my point. It's like it's still fun.
Yeah.
No,
I-
there's, diba?
I've met people. I remember this one girl I used to go out party with when we were young, very young, like 16, 17. And then like dancing on the couch and everything. And then someone told me, like, this girl she's Baha'i. Like, I'm like, the fuck is that, dude? Is that she lives in a Baha'i kubo or something? Like, no, ignorant fuck. Like she means she's of a religion that she doesn't drink. I'm like, but she's wasted. She's not. I'm like, and then later on, she's like, yeah, I don't drink. I was like, whoa. And I wasn't thinking like, oh, that's gay or whatever. I was just thinking to myself, like, you can have fun. Like, like it's possible.
Yeah,
You can be
it's possible.
you can be indoctrinated into this. If you're like, and you can be just like everybody else. Like, it's just so it's possible,
It is.
It is.
Very
Yeah.
possible, man.
Takes a while, takes time, but
Time.
it is very
Time,
possible.
time.
But yeah, like, I don't know, like, because I could stay out, like I said, like, but like, this person, you could have fooled me, like, you could have fooled me because she'd stay out like 3 a.m. You know, like fuck, like there's no
Yeah.
way.
Oh, I can't do that anymore.
No.
But maybe
We
that's the
were
age.
home at 9:30 from a
Um,
sober bar.
But maybe that's the age. Like, that's the age already.
That's true. Wow. Shots
Oh,
fired.
the
What do you
The
say?
titos
No,
and
for me
titas.
also. For me also,
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
can't.
yeah.
I'm home at like I'm home early, man. Like I'm tired at like 9. You know, like if I'm out at dinner, I like 9:30, like I'll go home.
Yeah. I remember when these guys were like, so what time are we gonna meet up? And I'm like, 5. And they're like, come on, that's so early. I'm like, who
I felt
cares? Does it
bad.
really matter?
You look
And I was
like you look so
fine,
hurt.
6. I know I was super hurt. Like I was like some dork or something, like so uncool to say like, let's meet at 5. So finally they're like, fine. I said 6.
Yeah.
So we
Um,
did
An
meet at
hour
6.
made a difference.
I went out with a guy from our home group to back room, and we had a really good time. We were there till like midnight.
What's back
yeah.
room?
Back room is in the Shangri-La. It's like near. It's like it's a proper bar, but they have
Ooh,
mocktail list.
mocktails.
And
Ooh.
I
New
I
place.
was at a dinner with some other people, like I was friends of mine from before the program, and I had got really uncomfortable. This is last week only, and I got really uncomfortable at dinner because at the end of dinner, everyone was going to the bathroom and there were drinks,
Oh, yes.
and I realized, but I was in a bar with my AA friend, and I think that there is something about being with people that like there's pakisama, you know, like they're like
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's you. I don't know what it is, but it sounds to me. It feels like you're not like. It feels like you're not weird. That's why it works. I don't know. Like
Yes.
Yeah. Is that kind of where you were getting at? Because I was wondering. So like I'll say stateside, no. One of my like not proud moments when I was still surrounding myself with people who drank like I did. There was one guy who and it's funny because he's like a heavy metal drummer. But he was clean and sober because he had a problem early on. He didn't drink. I gave him so much shit for not drinking, and all like we kept him like, "Are you sure?" No, 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 and that didn't end up so well. But later on in sobriety, I also met a lot of people who just didn't drink, and it wasn't a thing. And I think part of that is because of how the conversation around alcoholism, addiction, and recovery is already there, right? So you can meet people for whom it's not a thing, and some people don't drink at all. In contrast, here in the Philippines, sometimes the way that we get hit with it culturally still shocks me. I have an engineer here at work who was telling me how he was getting together with some of his boys, and he just naturally doesn't drink. He has like a health condition, and they're straight up telling him that like basically he's less of a man. How can you be a man and
Ooh,
not drink? And that's
jeez.
not the
Yeah.
first time that I've heard that, right? So if that's kind of like what you're leaning towards, you can feel it. It's different when it's ganon,
No. These people are actually really cognizant of the fact that I'm really trying, and like it's just more of like a subtle like, dude, if someone told me that, I would tell them, dude, okay, fair enough, but I'm going to your house when I relapse, okay? Like you will deal
I
with me
mean,
cooking your
that's
fucking
us. We're like an extreme example of that. You know what I mean? But for the layman who's like, it's so prevalent, we kind of do have a macho-ish culture here.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
told you, my ex-boyfriend, right? The asshole. It's like, oh, I'm here in the bar and I'm not drinking. I feel like a pussy. Right?
How old is he?
It's he's older than
Danny.
he's older than me.
Fuck, like that
He's
sounds like a
old.
child. Like
I know, and
if you
and
want
I
to
didn't
talk
think that was a red flag, right?
you want to
Shit.
talk difficulty, like this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done is stay sober. Like you want to talk like what's hard? Like shit, like you're a pussy.
Diba?
You are drinking. Like do you think it's
Exactly, exactly. I was really like that bothered me. I was like, why do you feel like the pussy? Because of that standard.
yeah. You know, like that guy that we went to a meeting, like like in the Wednesday meeting, and there's this Marine, like old Navy guy from the like fuck, like like I was just looking at him, he's telling stories about how his recovery, and I was like, just imagining, like that guy's no fucking pussy, like
He's not.
fuck, like like the shit, like like to be. Oh,
No, it's true. Like, but sometimes I don't know. I don't know because I know you guys know that sometimes I still go out, but then like I surround myself with people who protect my sobriety along with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really important to me because like I've had people tell me that you relapse, I'm gonna be so disappointed in you. It's like that's it,
Yeah.
and they're drinking, but then they make sure like, hey, I appreciate the fact that what if I'm out with a group of people who are drinking and they're like, hey, are you okay? Are you
yeah,
okay? You just have to leave. If you don't have to say anything. If you want to leave, you can leave.
yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
appreciate
good.
that because like
Yeah.
because here in the Philippines, it's like every time I go somewhere, it's like, why aren't you? Yeah, it's like, why aren't you drinking? Putang ina, ayoko nga, diba?
Yeah.
And but again, because I surround myself with people that know I'm not stingy with the information about myself sometimes. So it helps that people around me protect my sobriety along with me, and
yeah,
even if I'm the only one sober there,
yeah.
it's
For
like
me,
I'm not a pussy or anything like that.
the
I
most
Yeah.
dangerous.
this guy, I go like, how come you're not buying me drinks? And then he goes, because you're not drinking. I go, I can drink a Coke or
Yeah,
freaking
It's
ice.
yeah.
even cheaper, right? I'm a cheap date.
Hello,
Like for me, like the most dangerous,
coffee for crying out loud.
friend though is the one that and I've heard this, people tell me this, and not many, but I've heard like an older person tell me this, and it's one of the most dangerous things to hear, and they told me, like, don't worry, like, once you get in control of that, like after a while, you can you'll be able to make them plan and get back in. That's
Mm,
the most dangerous shit that
Yes.
ever
mm,
gone into my
Mm.
ears. Like,
exactly.
that's when
Mm-hmm.
people like, I'd rather you call me a pussy than tell me that shit. Like, call me a pussy
Yeah.
all day long, but to tell me that's where like you just started like a whole cooking show in my head. And
Right.
Yes. When they're
later
like,
when I get older, I'll be like,
oh,
yeah, man, like he would know, he's an old man, he's seen it all. Maybe one day you can, and then that five
mm-hmm.
years from now becomes 1 month from now, and that
Yeah.
becomes 1 week from now. Like, that's the most dangerous shit, dude. Like, don't
It
fuck
is.
around with that. Like,
Exactly. That's not somebody I want to be around with. I've had
yeah,
that already. It's like, dude, really? This is for life?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
for
yeah.
life?
What the fuck?
Question mark.
What I'm
Yeah,
doing this for
one of
kicks?
the things I do to protect my sobriety, like obviously, like I'm single, right, and I'm dating, and for me, I have to say it to the people that I'm dating that I have to be, that I'm sober, because the person has to respect that about me and accept that about me, so that they're not like, that they will support my sobriety. That's very important for
Yeah.
me. So when I'm out with them, they'll never question, they'll never ask me to drink. That's already established. Just the first thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's super critical. Like, I wish people did that more. Like, I mean, like blatantly, like, okay, these are the cards. This is what I need, like, out of a relationship. Like,
Mhm.
like these are the expectations you should have, because like I'm not gonna be going to no fucking bars and clubs with you. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
and I feel like if people could, and I think that applies to everything. Like, if people were more transparent and like gave each other CVs about like, oh, like, look, by the way, like, this is like, like, I have rigid
Check.
boundaries on this. Like, like, I don't like to talk about my problems. I need to, like, and honestly, like, I think for the most part, that would really help, because a lot of the time, so we get into relationships, and I'm dealing with this right now, is that um when this relationship between me and my girlfriend started, I was the one in active addiction, and like now
Uh,
I'm sober, but she drinks, like, and so this is, and it's not a static environment, neither. Life isn't in general, but the terms and conditions do affect our how we feel and the general feasibility of the relationship. It does matter, right? And I think that that can play a toll, like, and I talked with my therapist about this today. You can have as many tools as you want, but in that toolbox, but if you're struggling with dysfunction in a relationship, eventually those tools will be worn down and you will really feel it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because like there's only so much you can do.
yeah.
To be honest, there's only so much you can do in a relationship, and if it's for you, it's for you. If it works,
Yeah.
it works. It works. If it doesn't, God, So
But
let's go.
It's a pretty deep toolbox though. So I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. I get lazy, and so sometimes I'll reach for the same tools over and over again, expecting the same result, right? And then even though they're not working anymore, then I'll be like, no, but I'll just maybe if I, do it like 5 minutes earlier, whatever. I mean, the point is, like, I get stubborn, and so I have had to learn through trial and error
The
that
hard way.
I have to change. I have to continually change, evolve, upgrade, whatever.
that's all of us though, right? Like, I mean, like, tell me one of you guys that did not try a different way, like, like white spirits only, dark spirits.
Oh yeah.
After a meal.
Yeah. Weekends only, beer only, alternate rum Coke with wine, and then just regular Coke, and then yeah, I end up drinking
Favorite
4
is
bottles.
hard first and then beer after.
And then my friends had a rule. We'll allow you to drink as long as you have a glass of water after every alcoholic beverage you have.
Yes.
Tried that
Imagine how-
last time.
Oh, yes, that is the rule.
Yeah, that worked.
That didn't
Yeah.
work.
Pee first before ordering another drink.
Pee
I was
first.
like, that.
Pee first?
Somebody
Pee
told me
or
that. Can you
eat?
just pee first before you get your other drink? I'm like, fuck you, dude.
What does
I
that
wanna
have to do with? Wow, that's weird. That's the weirdest thing I've.
pee first? Like, why?
That's a dangerous one for me. You let me go to the bathroom, like, shit.
Right.
When you drink like 12 beers, you're really gonna go to the bathroom all the time.
Tell me
That's
that.
another thing though, like another win, right? Like, I don't live in the bathroom anymore, which is
Yeah.
fucking great. Like, fuck,
It is. It's amazing.
like, got to the point where you can pull up a chair already there. Like, this is where I'm gonna be the whole night. Like,
You appreciate other rooms in the house. Have you had moments where like you've been in different areas of your house and you're like, has that always been there?
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
look, we have
yeah, in early sobriety, that's such a gift though, right? Like, it's like all these new experiences that, like, you're like, whoa, like, this is what it looks like. Fuck, like, I didn't know. Yeah.
Or like I remember Carbs during the holiday episode, you said something like, "Oh, the food's really good during Christmas."
Yeah, right.
She's too busy drinking instead of eating like the food, right? So she's like, "Oh, the food's really good."
It's like the buyer. I'm like I'm high and drunk and like there's no taste in the mouth.
Or if you're on blow,
Yeah.
payas ko, diba? You know,
Right.
Enjoying
like
it.
no appetite.
No
Yeah.
appetite.
I mean, I have such a long list of restaurants to go to because I realized that every time I went to dinner, I was like, I would start at, like, for me, as soon as I consider work finished, like 4:30, 5 p.m., I'm gonna start, right? Like, and
Yeah.
by the time I get to dinner, I'm not fucking eating, right?
You're
there's-
wired. Yeah, you're wired.
There's like so much food that I've yet to try, I'm like, wow, it's
Yeah.
like I've been like missing out, like,
I
like,
know.
That's like the best adventure. You've got this list of like places to go and revisit food.
That's great. I think that's a
That's so
good
cool.
like
well, I
thing
mean, it's simple
to
too.
do.
Like, hey, I like, one of my favorite places is like Panda Express. Like, like a lot of things that
Yum.
it's been really about trying to and I just I want to touch on this too. I still have things that I feel are not, it's not like things I'm not willing to give up. Like, I drink a shitload of coffee, like, and I love it. Like, and I do recognize that some of the reasons, some of the triggering, some of the mechanisms involved there are similar to what I had in addiction, but
Okay.
it's totally manageable, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I recognize it, right? Like it's like I'm fucking excited to have that coffee in the morning.
But just, one at a time. Let's not, remove everything.
Yeah, like, and it gets me going, man. I'm not giving up everything. Like, and do I like to smoke while I'm having it? Like, well, fuck it. Like, I get it. Like, and sometimes I'll have 3, sometimes I'll have 4 coffees, whatever. Like, maybe like live a little, right? Like,
Live a little. Ooh, I'm gonna have 4 coffees today.
yeah.
You're like bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I do also. Like I take the strongest Nespresso.
Me too, the red one.
Oh my God.
Like
Sometimes
after you drink it, you're just like, okay, hold on. Okay, let's go.
But that's still okay for me, right? I mean, we're all in the same fellowship, so maybe it's not the best example. For me, that's still within the realm of being reasonable. I remember when there were a group of friends I had who were just, I'll say a little bit too excited to stock up on the what is it that like the world's like strongest coffee? What the fuck's it called? Death something?
Death Wish. No.
Death Wish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's called Death Wish. Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's like, for a bunch of addicts in like recovery, like jonesing all over the group chat about it. And I was like, we're a little bit left of center now, I think.
Yeah.
Dude, my sister-in-law gave, she was like, "Ma, 30 cups will kill you." So 29 is the limit. Okay. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
I heard something in one of these. I have this app called it's really good for mindful meditation, and it's by this guy that's a neuroscientist, and they have really good talks in it. And one of them was talking about that exact thing, like that we do have things that have hooks in us, right? And it's not a matter of you needing to stop it, especially things that aren't destructive, like coffee. Like it's a matter of just being aware of the posture, like what I mean, like how fucking like and maybe playing with it, man. Like like if can you go 5 minutes before having it, just like play with it, like watch your posture. not saying deny yourself, like but don't take my coffee away though.
Yeah, right. Don't take.
Yeah.
Hey,
Go together.
Yeah, so speaking of coffee, I've got mine right here. And
Danny, this has been fucking awesome, man, having you on.
You are amazing.
Thanks, guys. I had a wonderful time talking to you. In fact, like, you guys let me know if you ever want me back on here. I love it.
Yeah, man.
of course, yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, I'm a new fan now, so I'll be listening in.
We'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
This has been an episode of the Cocoa Recovery Podcast. If you would like to get in touch with our hosts or guests, please email us at cocoarecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.